So this past weekend was yard work weekend at the Matthews house. We spent a lot of time in our flower beds, in our yard. There was a lot of moss killer put down. There were holes dug for dahlias. And there's some things that I noticed and I was reminded of as I was working in the yard on Saturday with Andrea. And that is, first of all, the amount of work that you have to put into making your yard and your flower beds look good. There's just so much that goes into planting things and making sure the grass is healthy and making it look just really, really nice. But you know what doesn't take any work at all? Weeds. I mean, they just grow, right? I mean, you don't have to help them grow. They just grow. I mean, let me just give you an example here. I'm here at the church right now, and if you go over here, you'll see with me just for a second here, this really beautiful bush here that's in bloom. But then if you go a little bit further down on the ground in front of it, you'll see this weed. And you know what? We have to work really, really hard to keep this bush looking good. I mean, we have to prune it and we have to make sure it's in good soil and it's looking good, right? Prune it maybe. But with that weed, it just grows. It just does its thing. And it's so much like our Christian life, right? I mean, if we want to be healthy as Christians, if we want to grow in our faith, there's work to be done. But you know what doesn't take any work? The sin around us just constantly growing and creeping itself into our lives, just like the weeds. And it actually takes more work to get rid of the sin in our life than it does anything else. Just like it takes more work for me to keep the weeds out than it does to get them to grow, right? I mean, it's just, yeah, this all makes sense, right? But here's my point, and here's what I want to get to. There's some verses that I want to share with you today real quick that I want to just encourage you with. The first one comes from the book of Philippians chapter 2, and it's where Paul says, "Dear friends, you all always followed my instructions when I was with you. And now that I'm away, it is even more important. Work hard to show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear." Okay, so he talks about this idea of that in our faith and our relationship with God, there's work to be done. Okay, and then later on in 2 Timothy, he tells Timothy, work hard so you can present yourself to God and receive his approval. Be a good worker, one who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the word of truth. And if I could just encourage you with this, let it be this. Sometimes in our lives, we can go seasons without really doing the necessary work that we need to do in our Christian life to grow and to produce the fruit that we were created to produce. Just like we can neglect our yard, we can neglect our flower beds. When we do that, weeds tend to take over. Am I right? And in our Christian life, those weeds are sinful patterns, sinful habits that we get into, just things that just don't belong there. And it takes work to get them out. So my encouragement to you today is to not let it be just an occasional thing that you do to keep your life free from weeds and sin and looking healthy with the fruit of the Spirit, but to do that every day, to make it a point to every day take care of yourself as a Christian and acknowledge the sin in your life, confess that, repent, turn away from it, and also feed the parts in you that are more like Jesus so that you can become even more and more like him every day.